There is a moment just before the world begins to speak where everything is still. No noise, no expectations, no demands pulling at your attention. Most people waste this moment. They reach for distraction, for comfort, for something that keeps them asleep a little longer. But we do something different. We use this moment to take control before the world tries to take it from us. Because the truth is simple, even if it's uncomfortable. Your life is not shaped in the chaos of the day. It is shaped in the quiet decisions you make when no one is watching. The morning is not just a time of day. It is a battlefield. And if we don't step onto it with intention, we've already surrendered. We are not trying to feel good. We are trying to become unshakable. That means confronting ourselves before anything else has the chance to. That means choosing discipline when comfort is easier. That means reminding ourselves every single morning who we are supposed to be, before the world tries to redefine it for us. So we begin here, not with motivation, not with hype, but with clarity, with truth, with the kind of internal dialogue that reshapes a man from the inside out. And if we do this consistently, if we truly listen every morning, then something starts to shift. Slowly at first, then all at once. 1. We accept that today will be difficult. We don't wake up expecting ease. That's where most people go wrong. They hope for a smooth day, and when reality hits them with resistance, they fall apart. We remove that weakness before the day even begins. We assume difficulty, we expect friction. When we open our eyes, we remind ourselves, today will test us. People will be impatient. Situations will not go as planned. There will be moments where anger tries to take control, where frustration tries to pull us off course. And that's not a problem, it's the design. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. Not to become bitter, but to become prepared. Because preparation removes shock, and when you're not shocked by difficulty, you don't overreact to it. You move through it, calmly, intentionally. We don't complain about resistance. We train with it. Every inconvenience becomes part of the process. Every difficult interaction becomes a chance to sharpen control over ourselves. So before the world even starts, we make a quiet agreement with reality. Today will not be easy, and that's exactly why we will grow. 2. We separate what we control from what we don't. Most people wake up already overwhelmed, not because their life is too heavy, but because they're trying to carry things that were never theirs to hold. We strip that away immediately. We remind ourselves of one of the most important truths ever spoken. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. Our thoughts, our actions, our responses, these belong to us. Other people's opinions, unexpected outcomes, external events, these do not. Epictetus made it clear, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because once you stop trying to control how others see you, you become free. We don't waste energy trying to bend reality to our will. We align ourselves with it. We focus inward, where real power exists. And something shifts when you truly understand this. Anxiety begins to fade, not because life becomes easier, but because you stop fighting battles that can never be won. We move with precision. We act where we have control, and we release everything else without hesitation. 3. We master our first thoughts. The first thoughts you allow in the morning set the tone for everything that follows. Most people don't realize this. They wake up and immediately let negativity flood in. Worry, doubt, regret. We don't allow that. We stand guard at the gate of our own mind. Before anything else enters, we choose our thoughts deliberately. We don't let them run wild. We direct them. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." That suffering begins the moment we let uncontrolled thoughts take over, so we interrupt it. We replace it. We redirect it. Instead of, "I don't feel like doing this," we think, "This is what strengthens me." Instead of, "This is going to be a long day," we think, "This is another opportunity to practice discipline." It's not about pretending everything is positive. It's about refusing to let destructive thoughts dominate. We don't wait to feel strong. We decide to be strong, and then we act accordingly. 4. We commit to action before emotion. Most people wait until they feel ready. That's why they stay stuck. We don't negotiate with emotion. We move before it has a say. The body doesn't want to get up. The mind looks for excuses. Comfort whispers reasons to stay where we are. But we've already made the decision before any of that matters. We act anyway. Because discipline is not built in moments of motivation. It's built in moments of resistance. We don't ask, do I feel like doing this? We ask, is this necessary? And if the answer is yes, then it gets done. Over time, this creates something powerful. You stop being controlled by temporary feelings. You become someone who follows through, regardless of internal resistance. And that changes everything. Because once you realize you don't need to feel ready to act, you become dangerous in the best possible way. 5. We remember that time is limited. There is a quiet truth we don't ignore. This day is not guaranteed. Most people live as if they have endless time. That illusion makes them careless. It makes them delay. It makes them waste hours they will never get back. We refuse that illusion. We remind ourselves this could be the last morning we ever see. Not to create fear, but to create urgency, to sharpen focus, to strip away anything unnecessary. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." So we ask ourselves, if this were the last day, would we still move the same way? Would we still procrastinate, still avoid discomfort, still waste time on things that don't matter, or would we act with clarity, with purpose, with intention? This thought changes how we move. It makes every action deliberate, every moment valuable. We stop drifting, we start living. 6. We align ourselves with who we are meant to be. At the end of it all, this is what matters most. Not what we feel, not what others expect, but who we are becoming. Every morning we set the standard, not based on convenience, but based on principle. We ask ourselves, what does the strongest version of me do today? Not the most comfortable version, not the easiest path, the strongest. And then we hold ourselves to it. We don't lower the standard to match our current state. We raise our actions to match the standard. Because identity is not something you wait to discover. It's something you build, decision by decision. Each morning becomes a reset, a chance to step closer to that version of ourselves. And when we do this consistently, when we truly live this way, something begins to happen. We stop reacting to life. We start commanding it from within. There was a man who woke before the sun every single day, not because he had to, but because he refused to let the day begin without him. He wasn't special. No extraordinary talent, no perfect circumstances, just a quiet understanding that if he lost the morning, he lost himself. While others reached for comfort, he reached for control. And over time, that small decision separated him from everyone around him. We've seen this pattern repeated across history. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet still reminded himself each morning of the type of people he would face. Not to complain, but to prepare. He didn't expect the world to adjust to him. He adjusted himself to reality. That's why chaos didn't shake him the way it shakes most people. There's something powerful in that image. A man with the weight of the world on his shoulders, yet still focused on something as simple and as difficult as mastering his own reactions. It forces us to look at our own lives differently. If he could do that under pressure, what excuse do we have? And then there's Epictetus, a man who had almost nothing. No status, no power, no control over his environment for most of his life. And yet, he became one of the strongest voices on inner freedom. Because he understood something most people never do. You can take everything from a person except their ability to choose how they respond. That's where the real shift begins. Not when life becomes easier, but when we stop needing it to be. We've all had mornings where everything feels heavy, where getting out of bed feels like a task in itself. That's the moment most people lose. Not later in the day, right there. Because they listen to that voice telling them to delay, to avoid, to stay comfortable just a little longer. But think about it. Every time we give in to that voice, we're reinforcing weakness. And every time we override it, even in something small, we build strength. That's the real training. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet, consistent resistance against our own lower impulses. There's a story about Seneca who would deliberately practice discomfort. He would wear rough clothing, eat the simplest food, and live as if he had nothing, even though he had wealth. Not because he enjoyed suffering, but because he refused to become dependent on comfort. He trained himself to remain steady no matter what changed around him. And that's what we're doing every morning, whether we realize it or not. We're either training resilience or we're training dependence on ease. There was a soldier once who said the hardest part of any battle wasn't the fight itself. It was the moment before, when doubt started creeping in. That quiet hesitation, that internal question. Can I really do this? Most people think strength shows up in action, but it actually shows up before action, in the decision to move forward despite uncertainty. We face that same moment every day. It just doesn't look like a battlefield. It looks like a choice. Get up or stay down. Act or delay. Stay disciplined or drift. And the more we choose discipline, the less power doubt has over us. There's also a truth most people avoid. Emotions are not reliable guides. They change constantly. If we follow them, we become inconsistent. One day we're focused, the next we're distracted. One day we're motivated, the next we're lost. But when we anchor ourselves in principles instead of feelings, everything stabilizes. We don't wake up asking how we feel. We wake up asking what must be done. That shift alone separates those who progress from those who stay stuck. We've all seen people who had potential but never became anything. Not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked consistency. They waited for the perfect mood, the perfect moment, the perfect conditions. And those moments rarely come. Meanwhile, the person who simply shows up every day regardless of how they feel quietly passes them. That's the difference. Not talent, not luck. Discipline. There's a kind of peace that comes with this way of living, but it's not the kind most people think of. It's not comfort. It's not relaxation. It's a steady, grounded sense of control over yourself. No matter what happens externally, you know you can handle it, because you've already handled yourself. And that's the foundation of real confidence. We don't need everything to go right. We need to know we'll remain steady when it doesn't. And when you reach that point, something changes. The same situations that used to frustrate you no longer have the same effect. The same setbacks that used to stop you become just another part of the process. You stop taking things personally. You stop overreacting. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You become efficient with your time, your energy, your attention. And that efficiency compounds over time. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months. And eventually you look back and realize something subtle but powerful has happened. You're no longer the same person who struggled with those mornings. Not because life became easier, but because you became stronger. And that's the transformation most people are looking for without realizing it. It doesn't come from one big moment. It comes from small, repeated decisions, especially in the morning when everything is still quiet and the direction of your day hasn't been decided yet. That's where we win.